Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the ceremonial procession with the distinguished delegates will be arriving at the hall shortly. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the ceremonial procession. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to declare the inaugural ceremony of iPURSE 2025 officially open. Let us begin the event by honoring our motherland. I would like to request all of you to rise once again for the national anthem.
Sri Lanka, Namo, 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 Mata. Sundara Sri Peradeniya, Surani Ati Sobhamana Lamha. Nanya Naya Mekamal Malakuru Dini Jaya Bhumi Lamya.
Thank you. Light dispels darkness. Educational wisdom dispels darkness of ignorance. Let us begin today's proceeding with lighting of the traditional oil lamp, symbolizing wisdom, knowledge, and prosperity.
May I now cordially invite the following dignitaries to light the traditional oil lamp. I ask our distinguished audience to rise for this, please. His Excellency, Dr. Satyajal Pandey, the Deputy High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, the chief guest.
Professor Adam Greenstein from the University of Manchester, United Kingdom, the guest of honor.
Professor Ranjit Pallegama, Acting Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya.
Professor Linantha Samaranayake, the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya.
Dr. Romesh Ranavana, Keynote Speaker.
Professor Mahesha Nirmalan, Keynote Speaker.
Professor Bharana Jayawardena, the Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, representing all deans of the University of Peradeniya.
Professor Janaka Ekanayake, the Director of the University of Peradeniya Research Council.
Dr. Ruan Ranavira, the General Chair of iPURSE 2025.
Professor Janaki Mohotti, the Ceremonial Chair of iPURSE 2025.
Professor Gamini Rajapaksha, the Deputy Commissioner, Sri Lanka Inventors Commission. I invite all these dignitaries forward for the lighting of the oil lamp, please. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. The journey of iPURSE 2025 has been steered by dedicated vision and relentless effort of able leadership. It is now my honor to invite the driving force behind this conference, Dr. Ruan Ranavira, the General Chair of iPURSE 2025, to officially welcome all of you.
Good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. On behalf of the University of Peradeniya and the organizing committee, it is my great honor to welcome you all to Peradeniya University International Research Symposium and Exposition, iPURSE 2025. At the outset, allow me to extend our deepest gratitude to our chief guest, His Excellency Deputy High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Dr. Satyajal Pandey. Your presence here today is a true privilege for us. India and Sri Lanka share deep historical, cultural, and educational ties, and your participation highlights the importance of academic and research collaboration between our nations. We are deeply honored to have you with us to inaugurate this important gathering. We are also delighted to extend our warm welcome to Mrs. Saranya V.S., the Assistant High Commissioner of India in Kandy. Madam, we are grateful for your presence and for the continued support extended by the High Commission of India towards fostering academic and research collaborations between our two nations. I also warmly welcome our guest of honor, Professor Adam Greenstein of the University of Manchester, UK, an internationally renowned scholar and a strong supporter of multidisciplinary research, and we are grateful for your presence and look forward for your message and insights. We are delighted to have with us Professor Ranjit Pallegama, the Acting Vice-Chancellor of University of Peradeniya, and Professor Lilantha Samaranayaka, the Acting Deputy Vice-Chancellor, and Professor Janaka Ekanayaka, the Director of University Research Council, our distinguished keynote speakers, plenary panelists, deans of the faculties, administrative leaders of the university, and the representatives from the Sri Lanka Inventors Commission, including the Deputy Commissioner. And a very special welcome also goes to our sponsors and the partners. And of course, a warm welcome to the winners of Professor Lakshman Samaranayaka Research Excellence Award, Tier 4 awardees, and our presenters, researchers, invitees, and our dedicated organizing committee and the volunteers. The theme of this year's symposium, Navigating the Future, a multidisciplinary perspective, could not be more timely. The challenges facing our world in health, environment, technology, economy, and society are complex and interconnected. No single discipline can provide all the answers. That is why this gathering of diverse minds is so important. This year, we received 631 submissions across 7 tracks. And after a rigorous review process, 236 oral presentations and 181 poster presentations were selected for presenting. Over the next 2 days, we will hear keynote speeches, a plenary session on the future work and university curricula, and cutting-edge research presentations. The best work will be invited for full paper submissions to a special issue of Ceylon Journal of Science. Excellencies, colleagues, and friends, iPURSE 2025 is more than an academic conference. It is a platform to connect, collaborate, and create solutions for the future. I invite each of you to engage fully in the discussions, challenge ideas, share your perspectives, and build new partnerships. Let me close by once again expressing our gratitude to our chief guest, His Excellency, Dr. Satyanjal Pandey, whose presence adds immense value and inspiration to this event, and to all of you for being part of this symposium. I wish you a productive, insightful, and a memorable experience at iPURSE 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ranavira, for that warm welcome and setting the tone for today's proceedings.
The University of Peradeniya provides the foundation and spirit for this pursuit of knowledge. It is with great pleasure that I now invite Professor Ranjit Pallegama, the Acting Vice-Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, to address the gathering.
Good morning. Your Excellency, Dr. Satyanjal Pandey, Deputy High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, Your Excellency, Madam Saranya, Assistant High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, our guest of honor, Professor Adam, the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Lilantha Samaranayaka, Deans of Faculties, Directors of Postgraduate Institutes, Deputy Chairperson, Sri Lanka Innovations Commission, the Director of University Research Council, Professor Janaka Ekanayaka, the keynote speakers, invited speakers, awardees, honorees, members of the organizing committee, the distinguished invitees, colleagues, staff members, and students of the University of Peradeniya. It is my great privilege as the acting Vice Chancellor representing the Vice Chancellor to warmly welcome formally, officially to University of Peradeniya and the International Research Symposium, the iPURSE, which is an iconic annual event that we have at the University of Peradeniya. I think as it was mentioned by Dr. Ruan, the high rate of submission testifies the degree of acceptance of the iPURSE. I think we all can be happy about it. So this is a flagship research forum of the university, bringing all academics, students, scholars, international collaborators to share, debate, advanced knowledge. iPURSE not only highlight the strength of our research community, but also demonstrate the university's commitment to global visibility and academic excellence. The theme, Navigating the Future, a multidisciplinary perspective, is highly significant. We live in a world facing challenges that no single discipline can solve alone. Let's take it: climate change, health issues, digital transformation related issues, social inequality. No single discipline alone can solve problems in any of these or any other wider problems. The strength of research today lies in the integration of knowledge, combination of disciplines, combining insights from different disciplines: medicine, engineering, social sciences, humanities, arts, technology. All areas are required to really effectively address the existing problems in the society. At Peradeniya, having 9 academic faculties with a high diversity within these faculties, we are actually uniquely placed to contribute to this global movement towards multidisciplinary collaboration in research and innovation. For more than 7 decades, the University of Peradeniya has stood at the forefront of research in Sri Lanka. At the moment, if I am right, there are about 9 academics of the University of Peradeniya among top 2% researchers in the world. Our researchers publish internationally recognized work across all disciplines, and they bring their innovation to the world, the entire community. For research grants itself, university has allocated usually about 100 million per year, 100 million rupees, not dollars, under our accounts. But this is in addition to, this is within our financial constraints, which are still ongoing, but this is in addition to international and local grants and the support by philanthropists and well-wishers. And iPURSE is the main platform where these diverse efforts and contributions come together, enabling us to showcase our collective achievements in relation to research and innovation. One of the most meaningful aspects of iPURSE is that it honors our researchers' research excellence. Today, we recognize those whose work is highly achieved, successful, Tier 4 researchers, those who have published in Q1 level journals consistently, and with outstanding contribution to the production of new knowledge. Behind every award is a strong persistence, curiosity, and dedication. I congratulate all honorees warmly. Your achievement not only uplifts the name of the University of Peradeniya, but also inspire our young researchers who are thousands in numbers in the University of Peradeniya. The value of research lies not only in journal publications, but in the lives of people. At Peradeniya, our research contribution there is a contribution directly to the society, improving crop yields, food security and safety, developing new medical therapies, advancing renewable energy, preserving cultural heritage, and strengthening education. Many of those our top-level researchers who have contributed, who are contributing, are in this audience, in this chamber. Looking forward, the University of Peradeniya is committed to expanding multidisciplinary, collaborative, and impact-driven research. And our University Research Council, which is the umbrella organization to coordinate and administer this effort of the University of Peradeniya. So we must embrace artificial intelligence, digital tools, and big data available to advance discovery. We must also ensure our work aligns with the principles of sustainability and inclusivity. Our goal is to create not just knowledge, but solutions. Solutions that address pressing needs, issues of our time, and prepare future generations for challenges that are yet to come and that are already there. Before I conclude, I express my sincere and deep gratitude to the organizing committee of the iPURSE 2025, led by Professor Janaka Ekanayaka and the University Research Council and the Board of Management, our sponsors, and all partners for their tireless efforts in making this event a possibility. To our young scholars and students, I need to say that please don't consider this as just as another event, but it is an invitation for future, an invitation to explore further, to collaborate and lead the world, starting from the University of Peradeniya. With these thoughts, I wish iPURSE 2025 the every success. May it be a celebration of knowledge, a spark for collaboration, and a reminder of the power of research to shape the future of the entire world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and unwavering support for research and innovation in this prestigious institute.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to welcome our guest of honor, Professor Adam Greenstein, Professor of Medicine, University of Manchester, and consultant physician at Manchester University Hospital's Foundation Trust, to this forum. With expertise spanning hypertension, vascular dementia, stroke prevention, and obesity-related hypertension, Professor Greenstein bridges clinical excellence with cutting-edge laboratory research. It is with great pleasure that I invite Professor Greenstein on stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you also to the organising committee for inviting me today. I think the main message that I would like to say today is that it's a great honour and privilege to contribute this message to the programme book of iPURSE 2025. The chosen theme, Navigating the Future, a multidisciplinary perspective, is both timely and vital, reflecting the complexity of the global challenges that we face today in health, science, technology, and society. On a personal level, I would also like to just reinforce the special place in my heart that the incredible countries of India and Sri Lanka have for me. It's been 25 years since I first visited these wonderful countries, and I've always been struck by the warmth, compassion of the people who live here. As a clinician scientist and academic, I've witnessed firsthand the transformative power of multidisciplinary collaboration, particularly in the fields of medicine and biomedical science, where progress depends on the seamless integration of expertise from multiple domains and multiple institutions. Indeed, the work of academics across the world depends on us not being restricted by physical borders and only being restricted by the limits of our imagination and the capacity to collaborate with each other based on the problems that we face. Events like iPURSE create invaluable opportunities for researchers and practitioners across disciplines to engage in dialogue, friendly and constructive dialogue, exchanging innovative ideas and foster collaborations that can translate into meaningful real-world impact. Together with my esteemed, close and highly valued colleague, Professor Mahesh Nirmalan, who you'll hear from, I would just like to reinforce the enthusiasm that we have from the University of Manchester and across the UK as a national academic community, the enthusiasm that we have to engage with institutions such as yourself to try and achieve progress. The University of Peradeniya, with its proud history and remarkable breadth of scholarship, which I'm very much looking forward to exploring over the next 2 days, is uniquely placed to lead such conversations at both national and international levels. I've already started to have some really interesting and fruitful conversations with some of the faculty here, and I was delighted to hear that Professor Janaka Ekaniyake, who's co-organised this conference, studied for his PhD at the University of Manchester Science and Technology, between the years of 1992 and 1994, when, of course, I was a medical student at the university. And I'm sure that our paths crossed because he lived in Rusholme and I lived on the other side of Rusholme. So I'm delighted that we're able to rekindle this geographical collaboration. I was also delighted to meet with Professor Tianka, pediatric immunologist and head of the Department of Pharmacology, an area which I specialize in. So, iPURSE 2025 stands as a beacon of the vision of collaboration, providing a vibrant platform for advancing knowledge, building partnerships, and inspiring the next generation of researchers who, after all, will be solving the problems that will be facing all of us in our older age. I extend my warmest congratulations to the organising committee and of course all of the junior researchers and students for bringing together this important symposium, and wish all participants a rewarding and stimulating experience at iPURSE 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your invaluable insights.
Ladies and gentlemen, please note that we are bringing forward our chief guest's address to accommodate him as he has an important commitment in Colombo.
So, distinguished guests, we now come to a highlight of our inauguration, the address by our chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Satyanjal Pandey, the Deputy High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka. To introduce our chief guest, I would like to cordially invite Dr. Ruwan Ranavira, the General Chair of the iPURSE 2025 on stage.
We are exceptionally fortunate to have with us a distinguished diplomat, a senior representative of our closest neighbor, and a scholar in his own right. He's a member of the prestigious Indian Foreign Service, having joined the cadre in 2008. His diplomatic journey began in Moscow, where he served as a language trainee, mastering the Russian language. His early career saw him contribute significantly to the India-Kazakhstan relationship, serving in the political and administration wings of their embassy there. Upon his return to New Delhi, he managed complex geopolitical portfolios as a desk officer for Western Europe. For a significant period of 7 years, he was a key figure in the Ministry of External Affairs' Finance Division, rising through the ranks from Undersecretary to Director, where he would have been instrumental in steering the diplomatic machinery. In a special diplomatic assignment, he also served the citizens of India with distinction as the regional passport officer in Delhi. Since August 2023, he has been serving in our beautiful island nation as the Deputy High Commissioner of India in Colombo, where he plays a pivotal role in nurturing and strengthening the deep-rooted, multifaceted ties between India and Sri Lanka. Beyond his illustrious diplomatic credentials, he is also a man of science and medicine. He holds an MBBS degree from the renowned King George's Medical College in Lucknow, and he is a polyglot fluent in Hindi, Bhojpuri, English, and Russian. His unique background, combining the precision of medical science with strategic vision of diplomacy, makes him an ideal personality to inaugurate a conference dedicated to research and global collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with immense respect and great pleasure that I invite you to join me in giving a heartfelt round of applause to welcome our esteemed chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Satyanjal Pandey, the Deputy High Commissioner of India in Colombo. Sir, the podium is yours. We are all eager to hear your thoughts and insights.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and Ayubowan. It is my honor and privilege to be in the University of Peradeniya. This is my first occasion, and it is such a lovely occasion to be at iPURSE 2025 with all the excellence awardees and the senior faculty members and deans and researchers from across the spectrum. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Acting Vice Chancellor, the deans, the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellors, and all the researchers who have gathered today and given me an opportunity to represent High Commissioner and High Commission of India. I would also like to mention that a very glorious introduction. Thank him for Professor Ruwan for a very glorious introduction. A lot of adjectives I can assure you were not deserved, but a little flattery in the morning always helps the mood. So with deep, modesty, I, accept and thank you for the introduction made. I'm so glad to know that Professor James, who is a guest of honor with us today, he is a man of science and medicine, and I share that background with him. The only thing is that he persevered in the path of noble work, whereas I, deviated from the path of noble work and persevering to a slightly more political but noble work, which is diplomacy. So I'm glad to be in the company of Professor James, who has taken time out from the United Kingdom. It is also heartening to know that he's visiting us in your lovely country after 25 years, when last time he was here as a student scholar. So good to know that University of Peradeniya keeps in touch with its friends and its scholars. It's something which is much to learn from. Ladies and gentlemen, I am really delighted to be here today in this beautiful green campus of your university. It is the premier university in Sri Lanka to inaugurate this annual International Research Symposium, iPURSE 2025. University of Peradeniya, it is the largest and the oldest university of Sri Lanka, not just in Sri Lanka, but also in the region and beyond. I feel truly privileged and honored, and I thank the university and Vice Chancellor again for giving me this opportunity. Friends, both our nations, India and Sri Lanka, and civilizations have always been centered around the concept of knowledge. Some of the ancient universities in India, such as Nalanda and Vikramshila, are well known, where science was taught side by side with the Buddhist philosophy. Similarly, Sri Lanka had an equally illustrious history of innovation, which is also reflected in the old reservoirs which were built as early as 5th century BC, which are being used and researched even now. In the recent times, India has considerable progress in the field of education and is able to build it on its strength. India is recognized globally for its scientific rigor and potential by making progress in more advanced technology. India's innovation achievements, which is the topic for the conference, span the space technology with missions to Moon and Mars, biotechnology with indigenous vaccines like Covaxin, digital initiatives like Digital India fostering a robust startup ecosystem, contributions to healthcare, indigenous server, Rudra, to Aadhaar-based unified payment interface systems. Today, Indian innovators took the number of patents from around 4,000 in 2014 to almost 50,000 now. It is heartening to know that University of Peradeniya has existing tie-ups with several educational institutions in India, like IIT Kanpur, IIT Roorkee, University of Delhi, and many others. We are also having an ongoing program of supporting projects across the fields, such as science and technology, through India-Sri Lanka Foundation, under which several projects have been jointly funded based on mutual interests. I hope that scholars from the University of Peradeniya are already collaborating with our scientists in India on various joint research projects. We need to have more such institutionalized collaborations and be more active in taking forward the research proposals and concepts together. India is happy to support and participate in this journey, as we believe that knowledge knows no borders and that progress is most meaningful when shared. We must strive for joint studies, student exchanges, collaborative innovation that benefits not only India and Sri Lanka, but the entire region. Friends, as we navigate complex global challenges from climate change and public health crisis to digital transformation and inclusive development, the role of interdisciplinary research becomes not just relevant, but more essential and necessarily practical. I urge all participants, especially young scholars and researchers, to see this symposium not merely as a platform, but a space for presenting paper, concepts, and for discussion on the needs of our communities that reflect the true values of our societies. Before I conclude, I would like to reiterate that for India, Sri Lanka is special. The Indian Housing Project in Sri Lanka is the largest grant assistance project of Government of India in any country abroad. Similarly, we have constructed the largest university auditorium in Sri Lanka, in the University of Ruhuna. The 1990 Emergency Ambulance Fund, funded by India, which is now operational island-wide, known as Suvaseria, was a dear gift from India. I'm also happy to share that India remains committed to expand the Suvaseria capacities and capabilities in Sri Lanka. Our projects are people-oriented. They have a direct impact on the lives of common people. From north to south and west to east, it is spread all across the island. Our swift support of over USD $4.5 billion is spread all across the world. This was swift support during the Sri Lanka's economic crisis was one of the largest support of India to any of the countries in the world. It was unconditional to our friend Sri Lanka, where many other credits and assistance had a lot of conditionalities. Indian tourists are back in big numbers in Sri Lanka, and they lead the number of tourists driving all the supply chains in the Sri Lankan economy. As committed by our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, India will continue to stand with Sri Lanka in her journey ahead. Friends, once again, my deep gratitude to the university for the respect and warm welcome given to me. I express my heartfelt thanks to the university and Acting Vice Chancellor and his team. I extend my best wishes to the Dean, to all the esteemed faculty members, the researchers, and students for success in future endeavors. I must also place on record my congratulations to all the awardees of iPURSE 2025. To young minds of this university, may this conference inspire new ideas, spark bold concepts, and reaffirm shared belief in the transformative power of knowledge. Thank you. Istuti.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your gracious presence and your profoundly insightful address, which has undoubtedly enriched this gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to one of the most anticipated segments of the morning, the presentation of awards to outstanding scholarly contributions and recognize individuals who have brought pride to the university through their dedication for research and academic excellence.
First, we will move for Professor Lakshman Samaranayak Awards. These awards are given away to recognize top-tier researchers with international recognition of the accomplishments evaluated for the quality, quantity, and prestige of their publications, grants, H-index, citations, and their impactful work.
To confer these honors, I would like to invite, for the chief guest, Her Excellency, the Assistant High Commissioner of India in Kandy, Mrs. Saranya V.S., as well as Professor Ranjit Pallegama, the Acting Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the first award goes to Professor Pradeepa Bandaranaike of the Faculty of Agriculture. Professor Bandaranaike, PhD UC Davis, MPhil University of Peradeniya, Master in Science in University of UC Davis and University of Peradeniya, LLM, a professor in molecular biology and biotechnology, and presently serves as the director of the Agricultural Biotechnology Center, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya. A Fulbright, OWSD, Borlaug, Cochrane, and Dever Fellow, she has 100 plus peer-reviewed publications, 40 plus international and national awards, and 25 research grants. Cinnamon research work she led provided molecular evidence for a 200-year nomenclature issue impacting the global cinnamon industry.
The second award goes to Professor Sakuntala Yatigammana of the Faculty of Arts. Professor Yatigammana, PhD, Bristol, MSc, University of Peradeniya, Postgraduate Diploma, Bristol and University of Peradeniya, is a professor in education and head of the Department of Information Technology, Faculty of Arts, University of Peradeniya. A recipient of the UGC Tier 4 Research Excellence Award and a Commonwealth Professional Fellowship, she has authored over 25 peer-reviewed journal articles, 8 book chapters, and 4 books. Her expertise spans science education, educational technology, AI in education, and STEM integration. She has led and contributed to numerous Erasmus and IDRC-funded projects and is recognized for impactful capacity-building programs for teachers, principals, and academics.
The third award goes to Professor Indika Gavramana of the Faculty of Medicine. Professor Gavramana, MBBS, MD, PhD, FRCPE, is a senior professor of medicine at the University of Peradeniya and consultant physician at Teaching Hospital Peradeniya. Leading the South Asian Clinical Toxicology Research Collaboration, his work on pesticide poisoning has saved 140,000 lives through regulatory changes. With over 110 peer-reviewed publications, 2,316 citations since 2018, and an H index of 37, he has presented at over 90 international conferences, and he has developed a species-specific antivenom for Sri Lankan snakebites and secured grants, including Australian dollars 750,000 from NHMRC and Great British Pounds 6 million from NIHR for poisoning prevention.
Congratulations, and thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Next, we will present the recognition awards. These awards are presented to those who secured significant national or international grants during the year 2024, weighted by the funding amount, prestige, and role as the principal investigator or the co-investigator.
To confer these honors, may I invite the guest of honor, Professor Adam Greenstein, and the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Lilantha Samaranayake, on stage.
The first award goes to Dr. SSSD.S. Jagoda of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science.
In absentia, the Dean of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science will receive this award. The second award goes to Professor AMACS Bandara of the Faculty of Engineering.
The third award goes to Professor P.C.G. Bandaranayake of the Faculty of Agriculture.
Thank you, sirs. I'd like to congratulations to the awardees, and I'd like to once again please ask that you remain on stage, sir, as we will need you to confer the awards for the remaining. Next, we will present the University Research Council Research Awards. These awards are given away for the academic staff members with outstanding research and creative achievements for recent publications, patents, and grants. And these awards will celebrate the contributions of researchers who have significantly advanced their fields and motivated further research endeavors across the university.
Let us read out the names. Professor R.D. Jaisinger, Faculty of Dental Sciences.
Dr. A.J. Damika Abekon, Faculty of Engineering.
Dr. N.M.S.H. Bandara, Faculty of Engineering.
Dr. J.A.S.C. Jaisinger, Faculty of Engineering.
Dr. N.G.P.B. Neluwala, Faculty of Engineering.
Professor G.M.R.I. Gurliadda, Faculty of Engineering.
Professor K.K. Vijayasundara, Faculty of Engineering.
Professor A.M.A.C.S. Bandara, Faculty of Engineering.
Dr. H.A.D. Samit Buddhika, Faculty of Engineering.
Dr. E.M.K.B. Ekanayaka, Faculty of Medicine.
Dr. D.A. Gunavardhana, Faculty of Medicine.
Dr. L.S. Navaratna, Faculty of Science.
Dr. P.L. Dharmapriya, Faculty of Science.
Professor R.S. Rajakaruna, Faculty of Science.
Professor T.M.W.J. Bandara, Faculty of Science.
Dr. N.M.T. Anupama, Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science.
Thank you, sir. Heartfelt congratulations to all the award winners. Let us give a round of applause for all our achievers.
Ladies and gentlemen, refreshments will be served to you now. Please note that these refreshments which are served are vegetarian.
While enjoying the refreshments, let us now watch a short video message from our sponsors whose generosity and encouragement have been invaluable in making iPURSE 2024 possible.
We inspire the science community as an evolutionary frontier. Life science research, general laboratory supplies, medical diagnostics, environmental instruments, laboratory equipment, laboratory furniture and designing, Avon Pharmochem, a genuine partner for life science research in the diagnostics community in Sri Lanka.
Life is a celebration of joy, achievements and milestones, a celebration of life itself. And health is the key that ensures these celebrations go on and on. A unique philosophy that inspired two great visionaries, Apostolus Raptakos and William Henry Brett, to accept health as their mission. They came together to start one of India's first pharmaceutical companies, Raptakos Brett and Company Limited. Driven by the corporate vision to innovate and excel in pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals, Raptakos Brett has state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities, manufacturing finished pharmaceutical formulations, nutraceuticals, phytopharmaceuticals, pellets and APIs. Being a WHO GMP certified manufacturing company, efforts are currently being channelized towards approvals from MHRA UK, TGA Australia and MCC South Africa. Specialized ranges of APIs are manufactured for clients from Europe, Africa, Southeast Asian countries, and for captive consumption. The company is on the list of approved vendors of many leading pharmaceutical houses and multinational corporations in various countries. Dr. Brett owns the unique controlled release drug delivery system using DRCM technology, that is, diffusion rate controlling membrane technology. DRCM technology delivers drug to match the needs of the patients and ensures a steady round-the-clock drug delivery. Once daily dose, resulting in better patient compliance with minimal side effects. From a humble beginning in 1930 to become a global player of repute, Dr. Brett's journey in the quest of health continues with the guiding philosophy: life is a celebration and health its key.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now resume this session. A key outcome of any conference is the dissemination of knowledge. We will now officially launch the iPURSE 2025 Conference E-Proceedings.
For this launch, I would like to cordially invite Professor Disala Uduwawala, Publication Chair, and Dr. Ruan Ranavira, the General Chair of iPURSE 2025 on stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the first keynote presentation of the conference, which delves into the transformative fields of analytics and artificial intelligence. We are honored to have with us Dr. Romesh Ranavana. Dr. Romesh Ranavana is the Group Chief Analytics and AI Officer at Dialog Axiata. He earned his DPhil in Artificial Intelligence from the University of Oxford. Dr. Ranavana has experience as an academic, entrepreneur, and business leader. At Dialog Axiata, he was instrumental in setting up an AI and analytics division, enhancing the company's operational efficiency and customer service. He founded Enterprise Machine Learning Private Limited, providing AI implementation support to various organizations. Dr. Ranavana also founded Sim-Centric Technologies, a simulation software company, and successfully exited the business after establishing it as a leader in its field. His efforts span multiple sectors, including simulations, gaming, drug design, telecommunications, and UAV technology. In addition to his business achievements, Dr. Ranavana is also the chairman of the AI Advisory Committee to the ICTA, the former chairman of the National Committee to formulate an AI strategy for Sri Lanka, and the former chairman of SLASCOM AI Center of Excellence. He has authored 14 peer-reviewed publications, international publications. A very warm welcome to you on stage, Dr. Ranavana.
Sound issues. I don't know whether there could be sound issues. Sound on?
Very good morning to everybody. And let me start off by thanking the University of Peradeniya, the Vice Chancellor, and the organizing committee for inviting me for this keynote. It's always a privilege to come back to Peradeniya. It's my second home. I've had long dealings with Peradeniya from my father to my grandfather. We've all been at Peradeniya, and it's always a pleasure to come back. Today's talk that I'm going to be giving to you is really going to be about, well, it's going to be about AI, but how to get beyond the hype, all the hype that's going on around AI around the world at the moment, but also how to actually use it to create true impact. I've been in this field, especially in using AI within the corporate setting, for a long time, but really dive deep into it over the last 6 or 7 years. And now I lead the AI initiatives at Dialogue and also across the Asiata group. I've been leading impact on AI across all the different verticals. And we've been through several journeys where we've tried literally hundreds of things on how to create impact with AI. But now I'm glad to say that even at Dialogue, we've matured. We're probably the largest AI team in Sri Lanka. I have a team of more than 125 at Dialogue working on data analytics and AI. And about 20% of Dialogue's revenue, which is quite a few billions of rupees, now we generate with AI. We have created massive cost savings. And I want to bring to you some of the experiences that I've had on how we've actually created impact and how some of those experiences can be translated into the academic setting. My main message for you is to get impact from AI is not really about the technology. The technology is really a really small part of the whole story. And I want to give you that whole story on how end-to-end, how we have managed to create impact, how we've managed to actually make a difference with AI. So let me start off with this. We all remember, say 30 years ago, 40 years ago, how offices looked like. You had desks, you had people working with paper, messengers carrying messages around. And usually to get a job during that time, during my father's time, was you needed the skills for that particular job, but you also needed literacy. You need to be able to read, write, basic mathematics. But then what we saw over the 1990s and through the early 2000s was this paradigm changed. Moving from, say, 1 or 2 computers in every office to everybody having a PC in front of them today. The skills that you needed, the basic skills that you needed to get any job in the world changed, where you also needed to have digital literacy. You needed to be able to use a computer. You needed to be able to use Microsoft Office programs like Word, PowerPoint, Excel. You needed to be able to send an email, be able to do a web search. This is already the case. I mean, in our companies, even when we hire a security guard, we test their digital literacy skills. But now what we are moving towards, and we are already there in most of our corporates, is that the new world is where the normal operating model, the normal way of working, is going to be where everybody will be expected to work alongside an AI, work alongside AI tools. And this is not something that we can escape from. We've been running, even in our companies, already we have about 65% of our staff who are using these AI tools for at least 2 hours a day. That's the level that we have got to already. So now you need the skills for your job. You need literacy. You need digital skills. And also you need AI literacy. And I'll explain what this means. What does it mean to be able to actually get the most out of AI? What are the skills that you need? So really, artificial intelligence is no longer futuristic. It's really a reality today, and we all got to learn to live with it, how to make the most out of it. And what we're seeing with AI, especially over the last 3 years, with new advances in generative AI, agentic AI, all that stuff, it's not really a ripple. What we're seeing is a tsunami. Over the last 3 years, we've seen, these are some stats from AI adoption in the US, where this was a study done by McKinsey, where these results show that in most enterprises, about 72% of enterprises now use AI in some sort of context. And we expect that to grow. 75% of large global banks will have fully integrated AI strategies in their corporations by about the end of this year. And we are seeing this in most of the large banks around the world. Along with what we are seeing with the impact of AI, we're also seeing the detrimental side of AI, where AI is now being used especially for things like cyber attacks. And these are some things that we all need to watch out for. And just last year, there were more than 20,000 AI-related cyber attacks around the world. But also, once again, coming to something in between good and bad, is that most companies are now looking at AI to reduce costs. We are seeing about a 60–70% reduction in most of our costs already with AI, but that also is going to result in staff reductions. Even in Sri Lanka now, I'm on the board of University of Colombo School of Computing. And this year, you'll be surprised to hear that more than half the students did not get internships. It's scary. More than half the students at University of Colombo School of Computing and Morotua have not got internships this year because the companies have reduced their internships. A lot of the work that we normally hire interns to do the small stuff, documentation in our companies to write test code and things like that. Now we get AI to do all that work. And we don't have a need for interns anymore. And this is becoming a massive problem across the entire industry. And even at University of Colombo, we've been brainstorming how we are going to deal with this because children still need to get that practical experience. Without that, they won't be able to further their careers. And we're thinking about setting up software companies inside the university, giving them projects from within the university. But if not, it's going to become a big problem. If students from Columbia University are having this problem, think of the other universities around the country who are going to have a much, much larger problem going forward. Some key economic data, and this is just to show and reinforce the fact that this tsunami is not going to change. We got to learn to adapt to this new scenario. I mean, BCG says that generative AI alone, without agentic AI, is going to add about $2.6 to $4.4 trillion to the global economy over the next few years. AI-first companies who have adopted AI in a large scale, some are seeing something like 2 times revenue growth compared to their peers. So this is why companies are now being forced. They have no choice but to adopt these technologies. If you look at, and this is I'm talking about the corporate sector, but what makes AI so different? Just like we've seen with computers, the internet, AI is not only limited to certain groups, certain companies. It's a general purpose technology that's affecting everybody. From our personal life, our daily lives, we're already seeing things like smart assistants, navigation and travel, entertainment, personal finance. We are being exposed to it on a day-to-day basis. Second, in our professional lives. From writing and communication, we're all using it. Coding and development. I mean, I've already found that the amount of coding, I still code at least 1 or 2 days a week. And what usually would take me a week or 2 to write, the code, now I can get done in a day or 2. It's as simple as that. And the code is actually of much better quality. But the difference is here that the code is of better quality that I get out of AI, Because I've already done 30 years of coding. I've got experience in coding. But if somebody who has not done coding uses these tools to write code, you have no experience to be able to look at what the AI generates and actually evaluate whether what this has produced for you is correct or not. So this is the dilemma. To use AI tools effectively, you have to have strong subject matter skills. If you use AI without subject matter skills, you're playing with fire. And my advice to any student is always to never use AI for something that you don't know how to do yourself. That's unbelievably dangerous. But the problem now with internships and all that is how are our students going to get that experience? And this is something I think the entire academic community needs to think about, because this whole paradigm is shifting. I advertised internships. I mean, I used to take 100 interns a year. This time I'm only taking 10. That's how far it has reduced. My budgets have reduced. We are not taking interns anymore. And for those 10 internships, I had something like 700 applications. Because there aren't too many companies in Sri Lanka which give data science and AI internships. It's becoming really hard. Then we're also seeing AI in our organizations. We're already bringing in things like customer relationship managers using AI, the systems, marketing is using AI heavily, supply chain, human resource. And then also, finally, societal. There are some of these larger problems: public health, smart cities, climate science, national security, all being looked at with AI as well. So AI now is not just in one or two isolated places, it's covering everything. Just like computers, the internet, it's becoming a general purpose technology. And this means that just about every profession around the world is also being affected, from medicine, marketing, engineering, economics, regulation. I did a talk. There's just been a new AI task force being set up at the central bank. Because the central bank also realizes to do things like regulation, compliance, with the amount of digital transactions, everything increasing, they can't afford to hire 4 times more staff. The only way that they're going to be able to keep up is going to be able to bring in this technology, but to do it in a proper, responsible way where it's governed and there's a proper strategy behind how they do that. So what we've seen, especially with AI, is over the last 20 years, it's gone through 3 waves. The first wave, which we are all being part of, is predictive AI. AI that works on structured data. Even I did my PhD on this type of work, where we used AI to do things like classification, forecasting, regression, scoring, those type of things. That AI has been around for decades. And the core function of these AIs is to find patterns, making predictions, using traditional machine learning algorithms. But over the last 5 to 6 years, and more coming to the public domain over the last 3 years, has been generative AI. Generative AI is essentially AI that has the ability to be able to generate new content. The old predictive AI would have been able, I could give it a painting, say of Van Gogh or somebody like that, and it's able to classify whether that painting was painted by Van Gogh or not. That's what predictive AI does. But what generative AI can do now is that you can train it on lots of paintings by Van Gogh, and I can get it to create new paintings in the style of Van Gogh. And that's the difference between predictive AI and generative AI. And this can be applied to so many different domains, from marketing to engineering to whatever. You can train it on previous data, and it has the ability not just to classify, but also to generate new content. And that's the big game changer. But then, on top of that, what we've seen, especially over the last year and a half, it's what we call agentic AI. Agentic AI is the big game changer, especially in our companies, where agentic AI is the same AI system which is able to use generation to come up with ideas, plans, reason to come up with a plan on how to accomplish a particular task. But this AI would also have access to software tools where it can actually go and do that work as well. It's not only with normal Google search, you can say, find me the best Chinese restaurant in Kandy. But with agentic AI, I can tell the agentic AI to not only find me the best Chinese restaurant in Kandy, but also book me a table and order chicken and rice for me at 8 o'clock in the night. The AI is able to go in, if it has access to the APIs and all the hooks, it's able to actually do that work for you as well. And at Dialogue, now we have about, I think about 20 fully end-to-end agentic systems running. For everything from customer service to network optimization, we've got those systems running. So the big difference with the agentic AI, and this is what's going to affect people, is these systems that can actually do some work, actually get certain jobs done. So what we are seeing with AI is that it has transitioned from a specialized tool in the past where AI was used as a scalpel. It was used for specialized tasks to do very powerful but very focused jobs by using these predictive algorithms, classification algorithms. But now, in the generative AI era, it has become more a general purpose tool where it's being used not only for one or two things to do very, very precise tasks, but it's being used across the spectrum for a multitude of tasks. So let's go hype versus reality. And this is what you're seeing in the news every day. We are seeing wow demos and magicons. If you go onto Facebook, you go onto LinkedIn, you're going to be seeing these demos all over the place. There are lots of wow demos. I did this, I did that. Effortless automation. Generative AI is a magic black box. The promise of replacing humans. This is what you're seeing in the newspapers, the books, everywhere. But the reality is very, very different. What we see actually under the iceberg, and that's what we are learning the hard way in our companies, is that you need to have strategy and proper use cases. You need to define your problems. You need to have an extremely strong data foundation. You can't really use AI if you don't have good data, you manage your data, you curate your data properly. You need to have the infrastructure. You need to have the required cloud computing, computing power. Very, very importantly, you need the correct talent and skills. Data scientists, engineers, AI fluent domain experts. Without that, you're not going to get the power of AI. Extremely importantly, you need ethics and governance. You need to be able to use these AI systems responsibly, ensuring fair and responsible implementation. And very importantly, which I'll go into in a bit more detail in my next few slides, is that if you are to get the value of AI, you need to re-engineer your processes. You need to re-engineer how you do things. You need to re-engineer how you do things. And that, I think, is the biggest take-home message I want you all to take away from my talk today. So we are coming to a strategic inflection point where AI is transforming from being a tool. Everybody thinks of it as a tool that they can use to do certain tasks, write a letter, send an email. And there, what we've seen in our companies, especially in the corporate sector, is that it can be useful. But what we see is that the growth trajectory is very, very small. You might get a 5%, 10% improvement on how you do things. But if you want to get a 50%, 60% improvement, you got to change your environment. You got to think of AI not as a tool, but you got to create an enabling environment for how AI is going to be used, and I'll dive a bit more deep into this. The focus in our companies has been how we rewire our organizations from its core, from its people, processes, and data. And the result is accelerated discovery, breakthroughs in innovation. But for that, you need to do a top-down change for how you approach the problem. My experience with AI is that to really truly create impact with AI, the technology, the AI part, is only 20% of the story. The rest is people and processes. People, I would say 40%. Changing your processes to get the best out of AI is the other 40%. If you just invest in the tools, you're not going to get much out of it. But if you really want to create change, you have to invest in your people. You have to invest in changing your processes. So there's a three-pillar approach. First, it's the foundation. You must first build the engine. Obviously, you need those tools. Data, infrastructure, tools, streamlined workflows. This is the foundation of rewiring our technology. and it's the essential infrastructure for everything that follows from there. But then the framework, the people, is everybody who uses AI has to understand how to use AI, what it can be used for, what it can't be used for, and I'll go into a bit more detail on this. But you must empower the driver, the people who are going to use these tools. AI is a very, very powerful engine, but you are not going to get the most out of it unless you have a skilled operator who knows how to use these systems well. So we must cultivate deep AI fluency, and I'll explain what that means in our people. And then finally, the breakthrough is how we apply these into the way we work. So the way I see this is that 70%, like I told you earlier, is people and processes, the foundational capabilities. How you look at your people, how you look at the processes. Second, the technology, the delivery infrastructure, and then finally you bring the algorithms and the tools. And I'll dive a bit more deep into this. When we talk about literacy, I delved into this right at the start, but we went from basic skills from literacy, reading, writing, arithmetic, to digital literacy, using software, using search, to now AI fluency, which is human AI, collaboration, critical evaluation, and ethical judgment. Let's just go a little bit into what AI fluency means, at least our definition of what AI fluency means. Across the Asiata group, we have now got a mandate where every single staff member in the company has to be trained on AI. We have created 3 levels. We have what's called AI awareness, AI literacy, and AI fluency. And the mandate we have got from the board is that every staff member, I'm not talking only technical people, has to be trained on that. And this is very similar to what companies did in the early 2000s when computers came in. They had to invest in upskilling all their staff to be digitally literate, how to use computers, how to use Excel. So now we are going through a similar transformation, just that we have to do it very, very fast. And already at Dialogue, out of the 3,000 staff, we have already trained about 1,600. And out of those 1,600, we have our own internal ChatGPT within the company. We have, like I said, about 60% of people use these tools for at least 2 hours a day now. And we're already seeing productivity from that. So the new rules of work, that why would you want to develop AI fluency, is because the new rules of work is going to be you plus AI. How do you work alongside AI for faster, more accurate work? You need to also, as part of that, you need to have data fluency as a core skill, and you need to have AI fluency to be able to use these tools properly. Something I'm asked very often by students, by parents, is that how are people going to be working with AI? Obviously, there are going to be certain things that are going to be fully automated. But more and more, we are realizing that these fully automated systems are going to be very, very minimal. There are going to be not many systems that are going to be running on their own, because they're just too dangerous. The larger model is that you're going to see more and more people using AI as an assistant. And I'm sure all of you are already doing this. You all use ChatGPT, you use Copilot, all these different tools on a daily basis. But then something that we are also putting together these days is these AI agents. These AI agents who are autonomously working, answering customer calls, sending replies to customers. These agents are going to be working autonomously. But while they are working autonomously, we can't just let them work on their own. We got to have people who are supervising them, who are monitoring their activity. And that is going to be something that's going to be part of, I think, everybody's job going forward. How to manage AI agents. But to manage an AI agent, you've got to be able to understand how these AI agents are working. And we've been having this chat with even our human resources department. I told you, we already have like 20 agents running fully autonomous. These are like 20 employees. We got to do evaluations, we got to do peer reviews, we got to evaluate all the time, and then understand when they are not working that well. And then finally, there'll be those people who will be using AI to actually build things. So for all this, we have this matrix of what we define as AI fluency. The first one, delegation. Understanding what AI is good at and what AI is bad at. What should you be using AI for? That is the biggest question. The first step is when you have a job to do, you need to have the discernment, the knowledge on this to be able to say, right, this part I can use AI for, this part I got to do myself. But for that, you got to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the AI systems. AI is good for heavy lifting, for analyzing documents, large amounts of data. But things like creativity, intuition, thinking out of the box, it's not so good at that type of thing. Second, description. Description means you got to be able to communicate with the AI. You got to be able to tell the AI exactly what you want the AI to do for you. And that really is the skill and the art of prompting. Being able to exactly describe what you want the AI to do. I've seen my own children writing prompts. I've seen our employees writing prompts, working with ChatGPT. And usually it's like, 6 words, 7 words, 8 words. That's all. Now, the power of these generative AI systems is that if you don't tell it exactly what you want, it will fill in all the blanks of the stuff that you haven't told it. And that is where things like hallucinations and all those things come in. But I can show you this, but when I prompt, the shortest prompt I would write would be at least half a page. Normally, my prompts are 1 page, 2 pages long, because I tell it exactly what I want it to do, the steps I want it to follow, the sources I want it to look at. I tell it not to look at certain things, only look at certain things. The more description, the more guidance you give the AI, the better the AI is going to be able to perform and do exactly what you want it to do. So being able to give great instructions to an AI is a massive part of how you use these AI systems. Third, discernment. Discernment means be the fact checker. You need to have the skills to be able to take what the AI gives you, look at it, and understand whether it's correct or wrong. And for that, on one side, you need to know what are the things that AI can get wrong, but you also need to have the subject matter expertise to be able to do that. And then fourth, I think, really important in the academic setting is diligence. If I'm doing a presentation for the board or customers, I'm never going to give a fact that ChatGPT gives me without going to Google and doing a search myself to check whether that's correct or not. That's the responsible use of AI. When it tells you something, you've got to go and check other references to make sure this is correct. And if you use AI for something, and this we're trying to establish in our company as well, for people to disclose saying this was done using AI. So diligence, ethics, and safety is also important. So this is just our initial canvas on what we think are the basic foundations of what AI fluency should be. Then if you look at research, the old bottleneck for research was, for centuries, the primary challenge in research was the collection of data. It was a slow, manual, often resource-constrained process. That is always the big problem we have with research. And our questions were constrained by the data that we were able to collect and could physically acquire. But now, the new bottleneck is totally different, which is that now we are inundated with tons and tons of data. Because of IoT sensors, the internet, AI agents will give us lots and lots of data. But now the new challenge is now sifting through all this data to hone in on what you exactly want. And that's becoming even a greater challenge at the moment. So if you look at AI across the disciplines, a spectrum of applications, like I said, it's a general purpose technology. You can have pattern recognition in unstructured data, and this is the old type of AI in medicine for identifying tumors, zoology, geology. There are so many different applications which I'm sure all of you are already using and have done research in already. But then, when we bring it into generative AI and synthesis of unstructured data, how you can use it to create new data for you. Lots and lots of applications already in history and languages, translating ancient fragmented text, summarizing vast historical documents, law. Already in our companies, we brought in several AI tools, and the amount of time it now takes to review a contract has come down from, I think, weeks to now a couple of hours. So it's getting better and better at those type of things, but it still needs a lot of human intervention. Pattern recognition in structured data, discovering insights, and simulation generation of simulated data. So there are lots and lots of different applications in this spectrum. We're already seeing these type of systems used in climate resilient agriculture, where people are creating workflows, for example, to automatically daily download satellite images, convert it, link it to the NDVI trend, and then actually give alerts to the farmers themselves with actions on should they be watering, should they be putting fertilizer. So timely, low friction. And this is where you have to change the whole process on how you make a decision on whether to water, whether to fertilize, whatever, whether to harvest, based on these processes. Autonomous screening pathways. Already, I think there are lots of research on this line going on in Peradeniya, especially in the multidisciplinary center, where you create simple applications where you take a photograph that's sent into an AI application. A clinician will then go and review what the AI will recommend to you, and it will take what the next step is. So what we are seeing, if you take the research workflow, the new workflow looks more and more like being a symbiosis or a collaboration between people and AI. The first step that you always do is define the question, and that is always going to be human-led. The second step, once you define the question, the data discovery and the literature review is now more and more transforming into a collaborative effort between the human and the AI. The AI scans, summarizes thousands of documents, and the human is able to take those summaries and synthesize that. Then generating the hypothesis, once again, can be collaborative, but is heavier towards the human. The AI would identify novel correlations, obvious patterns, but then the human needs to come in at that point to use domain expertise to validate, refine, and select the most promising and plausible hypothesis that you want to test at that point. Then you move on to experimentation analysis. This would be AI augmented. Once again, the primary role would be with the human. The AI can run complex simulations, analyze massive experimental data sets, automate lab equipment, all that stuff. But designing the experiments methodology, interpreting the validity of the results will always be with the researcher. Then you get to the next stage where you go into the insights and the conclusion. This always has to be human-led. There is no getting around that. Where the human applies critical thinking, contextual understanding, wisdom to draw meaningful conclusions. And then the final step, dissemination, where you write your paper, your research article, or your report. This could be heavily AI augmented, where the AI can help you write, but you mustn't get the AI to write the whole thing for you. So, if you are to prepare the University of Peradeniya for this vision, what should our vision be? To establish the University of Peradeniya not just as a consumer of AI tools, but a leading national hub for AI-driven research, education, and innovation. I spoke, I think, a few months ago at the alumni conference, and I stressed the need to do AI upskilling. And I think it's wonderful to see that the university has really taken this forward and you are driving this in a big way. What I'm talking about today is how you're going to take the value of those upskilling initiatives and actually drive change in the university. First step is to train your people, but the next step is how you're going to now drive impact with that, and that requires organizational change, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. The mission should be to empower every faculty, every researcher, and every student with the skills and infrastructure to lead in their respective fields and allow AI to augment them. I think that's the key here, right? And the imperative here is that this is not just a technological upgrade, it's a fundamental reimagining of the university's roles where creation, application of technology have to intersect, especially in some of the, Peradeniya has been doing zoology, geology, botany for years and years. How do you reinvent? How do you rethink how to get that same standard of results but using these new tools. And that requires not just buying tools and putting it into your departments, it requires training the people and changing the way that certain processes are conducted. So if you were to take a unified roadmap for an AI-powered university, first I would say build the foundation now, create the core infrastructure, cultivate universal AI literacy, and the university has already started on this. So you must think of AI literacy for all. Everybody must have AI literacy, just like digital literacy. You must have a centralized AI infrastructure, because if you have AI infrastructure in every single department, every faculty, it's going to be unbelievably difficult to manage and costly. You're not going to be able to sustain the costs. And very importantly, you've got to establish an AI ethics council. You've got to have a central body who governs the use of AI within the organization. Over the next 1 to 2 years, you could deepen your integration, embed AI into the core functions of research and teaching across disciplines. So you can have faculty-specific AI hubs, industry-government partnerships, and also curriculum modernization. And then finally, through all this, you can achieve national leadership of being the first AI-driven university in Sri Lanka. Position the university as the definitive national leader in AI innovation and talent development. We can have an AI center of excellence, spin-outs, commercial programs as part of the work that's happening with IP generation, and also global thought leadership in this space. So your role to university leadership and administrators, champion the vision and secure the resources. I think that's always what all leaders have to do. That's my job as well. Luckily, with the new AI initiative, I have lots of capex this year for AI. But it's been about 3 years of fight to get to that point. But now we have that investment coming in. I mean, the company, even the Asiata Group, has made a strategic decision this year where, and remember, this is a telecom company with most of the capex spent on network. This year we are spending 10% of our capex on AI, which is a massive amount for a telco. And this has come right down from the group, where 10% of our entire capex is now being spent on infrastructure, training, and tools. To all faculty and researchers, you've got to be the pioneers. Explore how AI can redefine your boundaries in your field. Integrate AI into your curriculum, whichever faculty you're in. Lead cross-disciplinary projects, and you've got to guide your students. And then to industry and government partners, this is where you've got to collaborate with the university to be able to take this forward. But all this has to be done responsibly. Responsible AI is where you use AI that is safe, fair, and reliable. You always got to have human oversight and accountability for any AI system that you use. And any decision that you make with AI, especially if you start using AI for marking, scoring, and things like that, it's got to be transparent, and anything has to be documented. Why is this important? Because you've got to protect people and institutions. You've got to protect trust and adoption in your institution. You've got to meet certain laws, like the Personal Data Protection Act and stuff like that, which is coming into Sri Lanka. It's important there. So the guiding principles is, even on a national level and even in our companies, we define risk tiers. We have different layers of risk for different types of AI systems. That's part of the governance council. Have a human in the loop. Data consent and provenance. You've got to know where data came from, who owns it. Have you got consent to use certain bits of data? Everybody's got to understand the meaning of things like data bias, robustness, red teaming tests on any AI systems that you use, model cards, any AI model that you build, you've got to document it, just like you do with software, incident playbooks, and things like that. And if you take it on a faculty level, I would say the structure, this is just the initial starting point, but it's got to be sponsored at the top, just like in our companies. It's sponsored by the CEO and the board. But you would have two parallel pillars. First, you would have a responsible AI lead, where every faculty would have somebody who is that governance person who would look after the responsible AI aspect. And there would be a governance council and an assurance and tools team who would continuously test and evaluate and keep updating policies. But then the operational team, where you would have data stewards, every department would have somebody who would curate, collect, standardize the data within that department, the people who own the models and the tools, and then the responsible AI champions. And this is just a very, very high-level blueprint of what we are doing in our companies as well, how we are setting up the organizational structure, how to run AI at scale. So to end, I think my final message to you is start inside, lead outside. Don't try to change Sri Lanka. It's going to take time. But if you start within the university and make the changes here, those changes will automatically go outside. And that's where we are. And as always, I'm here to help. But this can be a vision for how we take the university forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ranavana, for that thought-provoking and visionary presentation. Please be on stage for the token of appreciation.
May I now invite Professor Ranjit Pallegama, the Acting Vice Chancellor, on stage to present a memento to Dr. Ranavana.
Thank you, sir. Research sustains innovation, informs teaching, and defines the place of an institution in society. We all know that conducting outstanding research and getting the work published in reputed journals is by no means an easy task. Therefore, excellence in research deserves recognition and celebration.
This year, a certificate of recognition and a cash award will be awarded to the outstanding scholars of the University of Peradeniya, who became corresponding authors by publishing their scholarly articles in Q1 journals, and thereby bringing pride to the university through their dedication to research and academic excellence.
In 2024, there were 141 research papers published in Q1 journals, and many of these authors are seated right here in front of us. Please look at the screen for some highlights.
The University of Peradeniya, the largest and oldest university in Sri Lanka, is renowned for its scenic campus, diverse faculties, and strong academic traditions. Global university rankings such as Times Higher Education and Q's place great emphasis on research excellence. In the 2024 rankings, the University of Peradeniya proudly stands as Sri Lanka's top-ranked university, continuing its journey toward global recognition. In 2024 alone, Peradeniya scholars published an outstanding 142 Scopus Q1 journal papers across 8 faculties. These publications strengthen our research visibility and global impact. Our work appears in globally renowned publishers including Elsevier, Springer, IEEE, Wiley, and Frontiers. These publications showcase our strength in multidisciplinary, globally relevant research, with an outstanding record of 141 Q1 publications in 2024. The University of Peradeniya has established itself as a hub of high-impact research. Our scholars are collaborating with leading international partners, driving innovation across disciplines, and addressing global challenges through science and technology. This growing momentum strengthens our reputation as Sri Lanka's premier university, and positions us as a rising leader in the global academic community. We sincerely acknowledge and apologize for the earlier omission of this publication. University of Peradeniya, Research, Innovation, Impact.
May I cordially invite Professor Lilantha Samaranayaka, the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, and Professor Ruwan Jayasinghe, Deputy Director of Peradeniya University Research and Grant Office, on stage to present awards to a representative awardee from each faculty. Other awardees, please collect your certificates after the session from the registration desk. We apologize for not bringing everyone on stage to deliver these awards due to time constraints. To symbolically represent all contributors, may I cordially call upon the following representatives to receive the awards on stage.
Professor Terence Madhujit, Faculty of Agriculture. In absentia,
Dr. Prasadini Pereira, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences.
Mr. Tushara Kamalaratna, Faculty of Arts.
Professor Chanta K. Jayawardena, Faculty of Dental Sciences.
Dr. Namal Bandaranaike, Faculty of Engineering.
Professor Sanath Tushara Kudagamana, Faculty of Medicine. In absentia.
Professor Rohana Chandrajit, Faculty of Science.
Professor D.R.A. Disanaike, Faculty of Veterinary Medicine.
Professor Tilak Hebavasam, Faculty of Arts. In absentia.
Professor J.K. Vidanarachi, Faculty of Agriculture.
Dr. N.S. Peradeniya, Faculty of Dental Sciences.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations to all the recipients. Let us give a big round of applause to all our winners.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed to present the Commissioners' Awards and the Merit Awards. For these awards, entries on new inventions were invited from all staff, which was subjected to rigorous evaluation by a panel of judges.
For the presentation of the awards, it is my honor to invite Professor Gamini Rajapaksa, Deputy Commissioner, Sri Lanka Inventors Commission, and Professor Roshan Darshanayapa, Director, Business Linkage, Innovation, Incubation and Technology Trans Office, Blito, on stage.
These awards will be given away for 2 categories, and then for the best overall innovation. Under each category, the topmost innovations will be announced to symbolically receive the awards. I would like to request a team member from each research team to collect the award on behalf of the team. First, the selected list of merit award winners, university category. The first award goes to the innovation on the application of non-invasive accelerometric-based systems for fetal movement monitoring by the research team Professor Roshan Gurliadda, Professor Mervin Ekanayaka, Dr. Chatura Ratnayaka, Dr. Janaka Vijayakulasurya, Professor Vijita Herath, Sashini Lianage. Please bear with us for a moment, ladies and gentlemen.
The second award goes to the innovation on OASIS, AI-assisted teledentistry software for oral cancer screening. The research team is Dr. Sumudu Rasnayaka, Dr. Kalani Hettiarachchi, Professor Ruan Jayasinghe, Professor Roshan Rajal, Ms. Danushki Mapitigama, Dr. Isuru Navinna, Mahesha Viduranga, and Sashini Lianage.
The next category is Merit Award winners from the selected list, Institution category. The first award goes to the invention on the self-driving car framework by the research team A. Divakaran, EGCL Amarasinghe, GLVS Bandara, Professor Lilantha Samaranayaka, Professor Gamini Disanayaka, Dr. Nalin Harishchandra, Dr. Tharindu Veerakon.
The second award goes to the invention on developing a simple laboratory method for preparing carrageenan-based seaweed powder using Caphificus alvarezi as a natural gelling agent in tissue culture by the research team PCG Bandaranayaka, GDSP Rajapaksha, PMPC Gunatilaka, B. Nirupajaraj, JK Vidanarachchi, BC Javardhana, MDSTD Cruz, I. Vijayasekara.
The third award goes to Deep Learning-based Novel MPPT Algorithm for Solar PV Appliances by the team Professor J. Ekanayaka, Professor Gurliadda, Professor P. Ekanayaka, and Anushka Bandara.
And now, the Commissioner's Award for the Best Overall Innovation. The award goes to AI-powered wearable technology for human activity monitoring by the research team Professor P. Ekanayaka, Professor R. Godaliadda, Professor V. Herath, Dr. C. Senanayaka, and Dr. P. Gamage.
Thank you, sirs.
Please give a huge round of applause to all the winners. We are now ready to present a Research Excellence Award, Tier 4, to recognize permanent academic and administrative staff with high H-index values across disciplines based on UGC Circular 5 2018 criteria.
To confer these honors, I would like to invite Professor Ranjit Pallegama, the Acting Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya, and the Director of the University Research Council, Professor Janaka Ekanayaka, on stage.
These will be awarded to the following recipients. Professor R.S. Dharmakirti of the Faculty of Agriculture.
Dr. P. Vithasinha of the Faculty of Agriculture.
Professor D. M. D. Costa of the Faculty of Agriculture.
Professor H. M. V. R. Herath of the Faculty of Engineering. In absentia,
Professor M. B. Disanaika of the Faculty of Engineering.
in absentia. Professor S. G. Abiratna of the Faculty of Engineering.
Professor R.R.M. K.K. Vijayasundara of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science.
Professor R.S. Kalupahana of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science.
Professor A.S. Abhay Gunawardana of the Faculty of Medicine.
Professor D.M.P.U. K. Ralpanava of the Faculty of Medicine.
Professor L.P.M.M.K. Patirage of the Faculty of Medicine.
Professor R.G.S.C. Rajapaksha of the Faculty of Science. Professor H.M.S.P. Madhavala of the Faculty of Science. In absentia. Professor W.A.I.P. Karunaratne of the Faculty of Science. In the meantime, I'd like to correct myself for accidentally pronouncing in absentia Professor M.B. Disanaika. Apologies for the confusion, madam.
Professor S.R. Kodituaku of the Faculty of Science.
Thank you, sirs, for joining with the award presentation. Congratulations to all the recipients. Let us all give them a big round of applause to all our achievers.
Now we shift our focus to our second keynote address, which will be in the field of vital medical field, medical education and training. We are delighted to host Professor Maheshan Nirmalan, Professor of Medical Education and Training at the University of Manchester, United Kingdom.
Professor Maheshan Nirmalan earned his bachelor's in medicine from University of Colombo with second-class honors, upper division, and distinctions in physiology, obstetrics, and gynecology. He earned his MD anesthesiology in 1994 from the Postgraduate Institute of Medicine, University of Colombo, while also receiving the prestigious Laddie Fernando Memorial Gold Medal. He went on to earn his fellowship at the Royal College of Anaesthetists in London and a PhD in physiology at the University of Manchester. Professor Nirmalan has also combined clinical excellence with academic leadership, serving as Vice Dean for Social Responsibility and Public Engagement at the University of Manchester from 2016 to 2024. He also holds honorary professorships in Cairo and Uganda and contributes internationally as a member of the UKRI Scientific Advisory Board. His career reflects a rare blend of medical expertise, research innovation, and a strong commitment to education and global health. We are very fortunate to have you here as our keynote speaker today, sir. A very warm welcome to the stage, Professor Nirmalan.
Yeah, they will shift it.
Thank you very, very much indeed. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before I start, as you all know, I'm from the University of Manchester. I've been there since 1997. Last year, we commemorated our 200th centenary. Manchester University was formed by combining UMIST and the Victoria University of Manchester. And we have this limited edition plaques, which I would like to give to one of our alumni, members of our alumni, Professor Janaka Ekanayaka, who spent a lot of his time, even after graduating with his PhD in Manchester, and I think continues to have these links. And it is because of his support and encouragement that I'm here today. Thank you very much, Janaka. Thank you. Manchester is unique in the UK in that we combine scientific excellence, teaching excellence, and social responsibility as our three key goals. Now, I picked on this fancy sounding topic, not because I'm an expert in any of these, but it's really to challenge some of the members of this audience, particularly the younger members of this audience, as to how relevant some of these thoughts I would like to share with you guys to solve some of the pressing problems of Sri Lanka and the wider region, namely water shortage, water security, food security, etc. And it is even more pleasurable or delightful that I got this opportunity to do this talk or to share these thoughts in one of the most beautiful university campuses I have ever seen anywhere in the world. And also, it is the university where these two people studied in the 50s. They are my parents. I don't think they met here. My father was going behind a girl from Martha, but when my grandfather heard about that, he came here, packed him off in Yaldevi and got him married to my mother. And the guy who is there with his trainers is my brother. He studied here in the 70s. So Peradeniya, though I didn't study here, is very, very close and dear to me. And it's a privilege to be here, and thank you to the organizing committee. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I don't need to say that reductionism is an intellectual or philosophical position that interprets a complex system as sum of its parts, like the motor car. Yes, the totality is a sum of the individual components. But for quite some time, as you heard, I'm a gas man by training, or an anesthetist, they call me. I work in ICU, intensive care, and I wondered how relevant is that reductionistic mindset when you deal with something like this? Is this totality a sum total of its individual components? And I had the privilege of thinking a bit more about this when I worked with that group, the two gentlemen there in the pink shirt and the long sleeve shirt there. Professor David Eisner, world's two very eminent cellular cardiac physiologists. The guy in the pink shirt is the current editor-in-chief of the Journal of Physiology, and the guy next to him in long, full white shirt is Professor Mark Boyett, world's leading authority on how the atrial cells function. And into this laboratory came this young guy called Oliver Monfredi. He's now a cardiologist in the United States, who was interested in heart rhythm, and I had the privilege, along with Mark Boyett, to supervise Oliver's PhD. And together, we were interested in that organ. We call it Hadavata in Sinhala, heart. And the heart, as you know, has its own rhythm. If you take it out of the body and give it the right kind of nutrients, it will continue to function on its own. And that is due to an area here, which is called the sinoatrial node, which sets the pace, or we call it the pacemaker, And that sinoatrial node is made up of multiple cells which look like that. They are called sinoatrial nodal cells. And if you again give it the right kind of nutrients, it will continue to function. And these contractions are because of calcium transients, calcium going in and out, which makes the cell contract. And Oliver recorded those transients. The one in black is your calcium transient, the one in red is the mechanical contraction. He's measuring it in an individual sinoatrial nodal cell. And we were interested in seeing how regular or irregular that cell is. And what do? We measure the first interbeat interval, second interbeat interval, third interbeat interval, and we go on like that. And we did it for multiple cells like that. Now, sinoatrial node cell is going to make the heart beat. Yes? Your nodal cells are getting together to form the rhythm for the heart to beat. And this heart, also given the right kind of conditions, will continue to beat. And that has its own rhythm. So we were interested in comparing the regularity of the nodal cell against the regularity of the heart. And when we do that, so that is 5 or 6 individual cells. You can see how irregular it is. And the way to quantify that is what you call the Poincare plot, where you plot the current cycle length against the previous cycle length. And the more wider the scatter is, more irregular the system is. Now, this is for the sinoatrial nodal cell. Now, when you look at the heart, y-axis is the axis is comparable in terms of the scale. And you can see from an irregular sinoatrial nodal cell, something regular, a lot more regular has emerged. Which means when randomly acting sinoatrial nodal cells come and function together, they produce a rhythm which is a lot more regular. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, when self-organization takes place, something new has emerged. An order has emerged from randomness. So it's sort of one of the few database evidence that you have to say a biological system is not merely a sum total of its individual components. At every level of organization, cell to the tissue, tissue to the organ, organ to the system, system to you and me, and then you and me to society, something new emerges. And that emergence is a fundamental property of any living system, be it an individual, or be it a society, or be it an ecosystem. Something new emerges. So such an integrated whole, because something new is coming at every level, cannot really be understood in terms of attributes of the component units. And therein lies the problem of our reductionistic approach. Now, I work in intensive care. And intensive care, a human being, that picture I showed you earlier, is a person with multiple systems. So we have the renal specialist, we have the cardiovascular specialist, we have the GI specialist, we have the blood specialist, all kinds of specialists will come and look at their little bit. And we sort of assume when each of those little bits is working well, the whole is working well. But we don't really take into account, because we don't understand it properly, that there is something pulling all that together. And we roughly know that this is because of the neurohumoral, endocrine, and paracrine systems. The ancient people call it vital energy, chi, soul, whatever you want to call it. So the purpose I'm saying is that this system is coupled together, and the coupling of those intersystem connections is a marker of disease. So you can make the individual components work well by supporting the individual units in an ICU like where I work, but the person is not doing well because there is nothing, very little that we can do about those interconnections. And that has been used as a marker of health and disease. This is some limited data from some of the work that I did. This is an ECG, and you can we can calculate the interbeat intervals and create a tachogram like that on that side. And you can see already there is some periodicity coming. It's just not random. You can see that periodicity, which can be quantified on the frequency domain using the spectral analysis. And this is some data from an anesthetized pig. At baseline, when we induce profound hypovolemic shock by taking quite a bit of blood volume out, and even after resuscitation, the power doesn't come back, which means the animal, that interconnections have gone, have broken down. And we don't really understand how to restore them, how to understand them, and how to bring that into our treatment. So we did a bit more work trying to simulate that. I won't go into the details about how simulating that kind of shock with artificially in a human being, you can actually see how that variability is being reduced when somebody is not very well. And that's the paper in which we describe that, and that's the accompanying editorial, which we try to argue that this is all an effect of rate. If the rate is higher, variability, so what we are measuring is in the form of variability analysis is really an artifact of measurement, but the editorial rejected that and said, no, there is still something there which we are still not able to quantify accurately. So, self-organization and non-linearity are fundamental features of human biology, and therefore, how such a system, which is non-linear, which is a self-organizing system, would behave in response to external perturbations is an important thing that we need to understand when we try to interpret some of the way we treat these systems in a drug or something else. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the sensitive dependence of initial conditions, which, as I said, is a fundamental property of all living systems. So let's say that's a system which is going to move from that point to that point, and the function is a very linear function, y equal in a basic linear equation. And then when you keep applying it repeatedly or iteratively, the system from there will move to there, there, and there. So it's a predictable function. Now, when the initial condition is slightly different, it will move like that, but still in a linear, predictable kind of way. So where this point can be understood and predicted from where it has started there. And if the starting point is further off, it'll do that. But the end point, you can understand from where it has started, because the system is a linear system. Now, a system that is ruled by nonlinear rules, such as you and me put together, we are not going to behave like that. We might start like that, and the nonlinear function is, I've just picked up a random nonlinear equation there. If that's the rule that is governing how this system is going to move, if the starting point is slightly different now, it's not going to do what it did earlier. It's going to do fancy stuff. And if it is further up, it might do something totally unrelated. So in other words, the point I'm trying to make is that a self-organizing system like you and me, governed by nonlinear rules, which is a fundamental property of nature, when subject to small differences in the initial conditions, will lead to totally unpredictable behavior, where your endpoint cannot be predicted from where the starting point is. So nonlinear systems, even simple nonlinear functions can lead to complex outcomes. Small differences in initial conditions matter. The unpredictability is a fundamental property of such a system, and complex patterns can emerge from simple deterministic functions. I know it's referred to as butterfly effects, and the key point is that it is a fundamental property of all biological systems. So if I take you guys as one group, and you guys as this group as one group, and do the same intervention in both sets of people, these small differences, particularly magnified, amplified over a long period of time, will lead to totally unpredictable behaviors. And if I then compare this with this, what does that mean? I'm comparing a set of noise with another set of noise. And what I would say, there is no difference in intervention. So I take you guys, You guys do the same, give you a placebo, give you guys a drug, and I'm trying to compare the effect of the drug. But if this noise is dominating, for whatever reason, the net result is that I'm comparing a set of noise with another set of noise, and therein lies the problem of randomized clinical trials in my mind. There's a beautiful illustration on YouTube. I won't go into the details. I'll just show the animation. This is not mine. I've just nicked it from YouTube. Excuse me. So 2 points. Forget about the initial introduction. 2 points are going to start at a very similar point, but not identical. And it is going to evolve over a period of time in a three-dimensional space using a simple rule, nonlinear, over a period of time, and look at the trajectories, just to illustrate what I've been saying. That's called the Lorentz system. Those are the constants there. And the starting points in this three-dimensional space is, for 2 spots, is slightly different, slightly off. I won't go into the mathematics because I do not understand that. So yellow and blue are the 2 starting points, very similar but not quite. They're now following the same trajectory. Now you can see a phase delay appearing. And as you keep following, so far it is a phase delay, but still following the same trajectory. And somewhere there, the behavior is totally different. So where are we? 2 identical points, not quite identical, but slightly off, following a simple nonlinear rule over a period of time, leading to totally different outcomes. The sensitive dependence on initial conditions make the interpretations of clinical trials, in my mind, particularly conducted in complex environments like intensive care, where there are lots of things happening, where small complications can lead to completely different outcomes, sometimes make the outcomes of these studies almost difficult to interpret. And this is actually what we found. Several very high-profile journal articles published in top journals you and I will kill to publish, New England Journal, Lancet, all those journals. After some time, they found that they were totally useless. I'm sure each of those trials would have cost $15, $16 million or £1 million, because the system is nonlinear. Starting points are always very, very different in these complex environments, and therefore, you are just merely comparing a set of noise against another set of noise, in my view. So those are some of the limitations of randomized controlled trials. So you can ask, so what is the alternative? We need to put in a lot more effort in trying to identify a homogeneous study, as much as possible, perhaps using a biomarker, septic biomarkers, some kind of biomarkers-based approach, because clinical criteria based on heart rate, respiratory rate, blood pressure, oxygenation, etc., are so non-specific that you do not have comparable groups. Perhaps we should avoid long-term outcomes. Perhaps we should try and bring in shorter-term outcomes, perhaps physiology-based, perhaps biomarker-based. And we need to have a healthy skepticism, the clinical community need to have a healthy skepticism in how we interpret clinical trials when somebody says P is 0.06 and therefore there is no difference. So these are some of the thoughts that we shared some time ago in one of these trials, in one of these review articles, because ventilator technologies has a lot to offer. But the key question now people ask is, okay, that's all nice, well and good, but does it improve mortality? Or does it improve length of stay? But interpreting those clinical trials in that kind of complex environment is almost difficult, if not impossible, in my mind. Now, here is the challenge for iPURSE and the University of Peradeniya, the multidisciplinary teams. I think that's why we are here. The kind of stuff that I've talked about now is not new. It has existed for a long period of time. But to me, the real life applications where this kind of thinking, this kind of logic has led to some tangible benefit to society, tangible benefit to some scientific challenge that we have been few and far between. I know people like, I shouldn't mention names, Mr. Javir has tried to justify the use of Dhammika Paniya based on this kind of logic. I'm sure you guys know all that story. I won't go into that. Of course, there have been applications of this in some, but in a very, very limited kind of area. But with a capital B, reductionism still remains the dominant paradigm within which you and I operate. And the relevance of that model when trying to solve some of the most complex, grand challenges that we talk about, food security, water security, changes in the emergence of new biological agents, the reductionistic domain, reductionistic paradigm imposes a lot of issues. Now, I've been part of a group that has been looking at how water tables have been changing in the northern province in Sri Lanka, partly because of my tribal loyalty. I come from a village called Karenagar. I'm not involved in this study myself, but I was sort of involved in a peripheral kind of way, where they were looking at long-term changes in well water composition using electrical conductivity. I'm sure you guys know that there is a huge problem in those islands of the northern province. So this is perhaps the first study that was published very recently about monitoring the outcomes of how these changes are affecting the salinity of water in that part. And as part of that, it was really interesting because the problem is so acute that some villages, there no formal education whatsoever, have implemented their own solution of capturing rainwater during the rainy season, during the monsoonal season, filtering it in some crudely made tanks, and actually putting it back into the wells. And the logic was, when you put it back into the well, we are recharging the aquifers. And if you actually do a community engagement project with these people, they swear that when they do that, they have better quality water for longer periods of time, and they are able to cook with that, etc., etc. Now, following on from these social interactions and public engagement that we were doing in this part of the village between, about a few years ago, a few of us in partnership with the Jaffna University decided to look at the health, because the Karenagar is that island here. I'm sure you guys know this, and this is a relatively bit more affluent area close to the Nallur temple, and we were looking at blood pressure, atrial fibrillation, these cardiovascular risk factors, their water habits, their drinking habits, etc., etc. And I won't go into the details now in press in the Journal of Hypertension. It should be out very soon with an editorial. And as part of that, we found a really interesting finding, which I hope we can push further with this kind of partnership that we are talking about. And that is, this is the Karenagar cohort, which is a much poorer, much deprived area, unemployment, water shortage, social injustice because people from a lower caste don't get the water. You know all those social problems that exist when you have to depend on people bringing water by Bowser. So they just go to the nice areas. So all those, this population is subject to a lot of what you call allostatic challenges. And that is a more affluent population living in and around Nallur, a lot of diaspora money coming in there and all that kind of stuff. So those guys are sitting at home and eating McDonald's chicken and all that kind. So contrary to our expectation, the prevalence of hypertension was much higher in the more affluent group. That's quite known in the urban population. But this chart, we are looking at the coexistence of diabetes and hypertension in the same group and quantifying that using the odds ratio. And the odds ratio for those things to coexist is almost double. I mean, we have presented this as a hypothesis because our sample size is small. It's only about 130 people in each group. So tentatively, we have presented it as a hypothesis. Possibly, I mean, if you speak to Adam, the paradigm of hypertension and the paradigm of diabetes is fast changing, and it is now seen as a process of vascular inflammation, which is underpinning all this. So does poverty, deprivation, living under difficult social circumstances cause a state of chronic inflammation? And if it is there in Karinagar, does it affect the entire coastal bed across Sri Lanka? And how does the environmental changes relate to that? And how can we model those changes over the next 10, 15 years? Because these problems will continue with the changes in global warming and et cetera, et cetera. And in trying to model that, those futuristic changes, how relevant is AI? How relevant are these non-linear kind of dynamics I've been talking about? And that is a conversation that we have started with Janaka and his team, and we have made some progress. We will have more discussions tomorrow. And so that's the reason, that is what I wanted to present to this audience as to where this journey is going. So a complex system-based approach to modeling water tables across the entire dry zone of Sri Lanka is an ambitious project, but that's where we want to go in partnership between University of Peradeniya, University of Jaffna, and University of Manchester, common across the entire dry zone. How will it change qualitatively and quantitatively? Rising sea levels on the one hand, increased human extraction on the other, changes in monsoonal river, a lot of factors happening. And to me, it looks like an ideal model to study, to be treated as a complex system influenced by whole kinds of factors. And how do we bring that together in the form of a quantifiable, data-driven model? There's no point in just speculating about nonlinearity unless you can prove it with some objective data, and that is where we would like to go. And of course, getting Peradeniya and Jaffna working together on a national problem, if not a regional, if not a global problem, has political, social implications that go way beyond science. I've always argued in my role as Vice Dean that when research groups get involved, or high-powered research groups get involved in addressing a real problem that is affecting people, it creates a circle around that, a circle of trust, where we can get involved in other social dynamics, social challenges that we as a country face, which have prevented our development as a country. I'm sure you guys know what I'm referring to. And we have taken similar approaches in Uganda, where tribal warfares are extremely common. We were fitting artificial legs in northern Uganda, and we were addressing within that circle of trust around those research activities, we were able to address some of those major social challenges that northern Ugandan communities faced. I think I will stop there by thanking the organizers and everybody who gave me this tremendous opportunity to do this talk and share some of these thoughts in the same university where my mom and dad studied almost 75 years ago. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Nirmalan, for that incredibly insightful and thought-provoking session. We would like to once again invite you back on stage for a token of appreciation. To express our thanks, may I now call upon the Acting Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Professor Lilantha Samaranayaka, to present a token of appreciation to Professor Nirmalan.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, 1 minute. Some time ago, I don't know how many of you saw, there used to be a poster saying, Ali Madhivata Koti.
Thank you, sir.
As we approach the end of this inaugural ceremony, it is time to express our gratitude to all who made this event possible. I now call upon the ceremonial chair of iPURSE 2025, Professor Janaki Mohotti, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Rashmi. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor and privilege for me to deliver this vote of thanks on behalf of the organizing committee of iPURSE 2025. So I have a long list of people to thank because it's a large event. First and foremost, I would like to thank all our dignitaries and special guests for gracing this occasion. And our heartfelt gratitude goes to our chief guest, His Excellency Dr. Satyanjal Pandi, Deputy High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, for gracing this occasion with his presence and his inspiring words. We are also grateful to Her Excellency Ms. Saranya V.S., Assistant High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, for honoring us with her presence today. We are deeply grateful to our guest of honor, Professor Adam Greenstein of the University of Manchester, UK, for joining us and for his truly motivating address. I wish to express our sincere appreciation to Professor Terence Madhujit, Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, whose continuous guidance, encouragement and support have been instrumental in bringing this event to life. The constant contribution and guidance given by Professor Ranjit Pallegama, Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, and gracing this occasion is greatly acknowledged. We are also honored to have the presence of Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Lilantha Samarnayaka here. Thank you very much, sir. We are privileged to have the presence of our keynote speakers, Dr. Ramesh Ranavana, Group Chief Analytics and AI Officer, Dialogue Axiata, Professor Maheshan Nirmalan, Associate Vice President, University of Manchester, then Professor Saman Halgamuge, University of Melbourne, and Professor Adam Greenstein, University of Manchester. Your insightful speeches are greatly appreciated. A special word of thanks goes to our distinguished plenary speakers, Mr. Al Emadzadeh, Professor Maheshwaran Nirmalan, Professor Prasad Setunga, and the plenary moderator, Professor Roshan Ragal, for enriching today's proceedings and inspiring our young scholars. The university leadership and faculty is greatly acknowledged, along with the deans of the faculties of the University of Peradeniya, for all their valuable contributions and gracious presence. We gratefully acknowledge Professor Bharana Javardhana, Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, Assistant Registrar, Assistant Bursar, plus other administrative staff at the Agriculture Faculty, for facilitating arrangements to host this event at the Faculty of Agriculture. Our gratitude extends to the Commissioner of the Inventors Commission and Professor Gamini Rajapaksha, Deputy Commissioner of the Inventors Commission, for their valuable support in the competitions and for being with us today. Director Blito, Professor Darshanayapa, is acknowledged for his contributions in organizing this event, along with many interesting competitions. I will be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge the great support rendered by the academic staff members of the University of Peradeniya, along with the registrar, Bursar, and other administrative staff members and non-academic staff members in organizing this event. I also wish to congratulate and acknowledge all our award winners, the winners of the Professor Lakshman Samarnayaka Research Excellence Awards, Tier 4 awardees, URC Research awardees, recognition awardees. So your hard work, dedication, excellence, and achievements are truly inspiring. And I would now like to acknowledge the dedicated invisible team that worked tirelessly behind the scenes in making this event a success. The organizing committee of iPURSE 2025 and support teams worked tirelessly day and night to make this event a success. A very special thank you goes to Dr. Ruwan Ranavira, General Chair of iPURSE, whose vision, meticulous planning, and remarkable leadership ensured the success of this event. Organizing this conference under his guidance has been a privilege. Our sincere thanks also goes to Professor Janaka Ekanayaka, Director of the University Research Council, who is also the Logistic and Awards Chair, for his exemplary leadership and effortless management throughout the preparations. We are grateful to the chairs of the other main committees, TPC, Publications, Exhibitions, Marketing and Communications, and to their dedicated teams for their outstanding contributions. And I should not forget the two compeers who did a marvelous job, and there are some others also who will be contributing for the rest of the program. A special thank you to all the heads of the departments of the 8 faculties for facilitating the smooth execution of the tasks, and to all session chairs and co-chairs who generously gave their time to guide and evaluate the sessions. The staff and student volunteers and the session coordinators are greatly acknowledged for their contributions. We also extend our heartfelt thanks to all paper and poster presenters and all authors of papers. Your participation gave this event its true academic value. The paper reviewers of abstracts and papers too are acknowledged here. The editorial board of Ceylon Journal of Science too is gratefully acknowledged for their commitment towards making the publication a success. The curator of the University of Peradeniya and his able staff is gratefully acknowledged for the beautiful flower arrangements and other arrangements. The university security and all supporting staff is acknowledged for their invaluable contributions. We also acknowledged the support of the Royal Mall for food arrangements, then technical, lighting, sound, printing and cleaning teams, without whom this event would not have been a great event. Finally, we express our sincere appreciation to our sponsors, whose generous support has been vital to the success of iPURSE 2025. Specifically, I must mention here are silver sponsors, Raptacos Brett and Company Limited, Cadila Pharmaceuticals, Avon Pharma Chemical Private Limited, and our other sponsors, Farm Evo Private Limited, Hemsons International Private Limited, who is the official food and beverage partner. All these are gratefully acknowledged. So if by any chance, if I have missed mentioning anyone, please accept my apologies, and I thank them in that sense. So with that, once again, I thank you all for your presence, support and participation in making iPURSE 2025 a memorable and a successful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam. Ladies and gentlemen, this now concludes the formal inaugural ceremony of iPURSE 2025. Before we conclude, let us make a few announcements. The participants present in the hall, the first 5 rows to the right side of the hall and the first 3 rows to the left side of the hall, are kindly requested to proceed to the common room downstairs, the senior common room in front of the hall, where lunch will be served. You will be ushered, ladies and gentlemen, while we kindly invite the remaining members in the distinguished audience to please make their way to the Animal Science Department to get lunch.
Also, please note that the exhibition will be open from 12:45 p.m. onwards. Everyone is most welcome to visit.
The oral and poster presentations will commence at 2 p.m. in the Department of Animal Science. There will be 6 parallel oral presentation sessions and 4 poster presentation sessions. Please follow directions at the main entrance of the building, this building, for further instructions.
A plenary panel discussion on the future of work and university curricula will be held in parallel to the scientific sessions from 2 to 3:30 p.m. here at the Diamond Jubilee Hall. You are most welcome to attend the session.
Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we conclude the opening session of iPURSE 2025. Thank you all for your gracious presence and attention. We wish you a productive and engaging conference ahead. Lunch will be served as mentioned to all the registrants at the Department of Animal Science. So please enjoy your meal and your networking. Please have a pleasant rest of the day. Thank you.